In 1999, the USA Women's World Cup soccer team took the country on a wild and wonderful ride, beating China in overtime to win the World Cup. To this day, it is the most attended women's sporting event in history. Now, ESPN, along with Julie Foudy, have created a look-back film, The 99ers, on that magical time for women's soccer. Today on Coach's Corner, we talk to Julie Foudy, Joey Fawcett, and the director of the film, Aaron Leiden. I'm Paul Higgins, this is Coach's Corner, and all the action starts right now. Hello everybody, I'm Paul Higgins and welcome to this edition of Coach's Corner on location in the city of Mission Viejo at the Murray Center for a very special event. As you could tell in the opening of the show, it's all about soccer, women's soccer in 1999. What a spectacular run the Women's World Cup team had. And of course tonight, the star of the film, the person behind the film and in front of the film, and our very own Julie Foudy. Julie, welcome. You and I talked about a year ago at your camp. Did you know at that time that a film was going to be made?
You know what? That is probably about when the idea started, about a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite funny because they're doing this series of films called 9 for 9, and it's all on women's sports, and we're the 8th of 9th film on ESPN. But anyways, they didn't have soccer in the docket at first.
What are they thinking?
And I know, and they came to me and said, we really want soccer, but we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
We don't want to retell the 1999 story because HBO did this great documentary called Dare to Dream.
Yep.
And like 30 minutes into the conversation, I'm like, you know what? I have all this footage I shot. Like, hours and days, more than you would ever want to see of the team, and I was the only one because back then there was no iPhone, there was no Android or cell phone with cameras, there was nothing. I was the only one shooting this in 1999. So much of the film is the craziness of our team up front and center in all its glory, good and bad.
And what did you shoot it on? A little mini cam back then?
It was like a little high 8. And funny enough,
really?
Yeah, funny enough, my friend who grew up with me here in Mission Viejo, Tracy Loth, and is now the producer and editor as well.
Wow.
She said to me in 1999, "Is anyone shooting this?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Here, just take my camera." And she was an editor. And I shot on this little cam, nothing fancy, and but had it everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere we went, we had it. So it's some really good, fun, inside stuff that no one's ever seen.
Yeah, I wish the men's team did as well as you, because I have a lot of behind-the-scenes footage of the men's World Cup team when they were right here in Mission Viejo.
Right, yeah,
so,
that's right.
Good for you. Now, tonight's a special night because you're premiering the movie in your community, in your backyard. Of course, it's sunset here, and where we're looking at is all kinds of people on chairs and getting ready to sit down and watch the film. Have you had a large group of people watch the film yet?
No. In fact, we just literally finished the final cut yesterday. So our director is hand delivering it to the city of Mission Viejo today. It just literally got done. And I actually just sent a link out to the team today, this afternoon. So Joy Fawcett, who's of course a teammate from the 1999 World Cup, I said to her, "Have you seen this yet? Did you watch the link?" She's like, "No, I'm watching it cold."
That's amazing.
So yeah, so none of the team has really seen it.
Yes.
And these are actually the fields I grew up playing on.
Oh, I know.
Right here.
It's pretty amazing.
How about coming full circle?
Yeah, you came full circle.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now, how did you enjoy the process? Because you've been on the field playing, and then you've been commentating. Now you're in the booth and you're editing and you're doing the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Is this something maybe you want to do more of?
Yeah, I really liked it actually. Because when you're doing normal TV, as you know, you'll shoot an interview or a feature and you write the script and then you send it off to Bristol, in my case, to ESPN. And I'm not at all a part of the editing process.
Right.
So I don't get to see that up close because I don't live in Connecticut. So this was really fun because literally, there were four women on this that we basically got to lay out all the structure, how we want it to flow. I wrote the script. Yep. And to be that hands-on and be such a part of the process, especially something, as near and dear as this is obviously to me, was just really, really neat. It was so fun.
It is amazing. I'm sure all the footage needed to be converted, and now it's going to be, broadcast on ESPN. And you said in August, late August.
August 20th.
August 20th, a great time.
8 p.m. on ESPN.
Yeah, that's a great time. You look back when you guys beat China in a shootout. I looked back a stat on that. You had 90,185 people in attendance. Still to this day, it's the largest attended women's sporting event in history.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, right?
Did you ever think that would happen? And then since that time, Julie, why hasn't that been repeated, do you think?
Well, we talk about that a little bit in the film. You know, the challenge of that, and whether, not to give away the film, but you know, how do you sustain that? But the neat thing is, because we really wanted it to be the standard, and then everyone else kind of followed it. We didn't want to be this one-off event, and oh my God, that was awesome, and we'd be talking about it 14 years later. It's still the biggest crowd, the biggest TV audience, 40 million, still the biggest TV audience to watch a soccer match, male or female, in the U.S. But the cool thing is the current team now, you know, with Abby Wambach and Alex Morgan and some of the players they have, Megan Rapinoe, they have created, I think, a similar aura around them where there is such energy and interest in what they're doing. And maybe they haven't staged a World Cup here, but in Germany, the last World Cup in 2011, huge crowds. You know, they had that tremendous comeback against Brazil, millions of people watching on TV. So to see that rise again and the interest level peak was so gratifying for us. You know, it's like watching, you know, your kids do well.
That's true.
You know, this feeling of like, oh, they're gonna, you know, you're helping the game along. So I think we're getting there. I think you know, the challenge always for women's sports is it's always going to be a challenge. It takes time, and but I do think we're getting there with women's soccer.
You look back at that '99 team, and it was I don't know if God put that team together or who put that team together, because what a great cast of characters. And you look, even like David Letterman took you guys on, and he, you know, he had no bones to pick, but he said you guys are sex objects, you know, and you guys ran with that. Why not? Right?
Yeah, we did. We had a lot of funny names. We got criticized, called ourselves Booters with Hooters. And I mean, jokingly, because we clearly didn't have any Hooters. But yeah, we you know, people used to say, oh, you were just popular because you guys were attractive, and I said,
excuse me.
No, we were winning. You know, like if we aren't winning, there's no interest in that team. So I think the likable component, and again, this is in the film, is that we were very normal. You know, there wasn't an entourage when we went around. We had never experienced this. It was new to us too. There was a genuine joy in what we were experiencing. And we were, instead of being afraid of that pressure in that moment, it was like, this is an awesome opportunity to show the world how great women's soccer can be and women's sports. And so we really just enjoyed it. And I think you feel that.
When you look at your in role, you know, what you're doing with soccer now, when I saw you doing your camps and you're doing commentating, where are you now that a year ago you might not have been doing certain things? Like you did this film, but are you doing, you know, what's in plan for you for the next couple years? Because I asked you this last year, and I'm kind of curious.
I don't know. I mean, I really like television, you know, but I always have wanted to kind of branch out beyond just the soccer. I've been doing a lot of features for ABC as well. Just shot one on Ronda Rousey, who's the big mixed martial arts star, which is fun. We did one.
Beat her up?
I did get in the octagon with her, which is nuts. Bad idea. So that stuff I really enjoy. I love anything conversational and sitting down, you know, and getting out of the booth. I love the commentary, but you know, I've been doing that for a long time. So anything that I can grow and learn and explore. So we'll see. I don't know. I really enjoyed doing the editing and producing on this movie too. So maybe that's an area I can get into.
I'll pass my editing on you. I've spent too much time in the edit bay. I have two questions for you, and both at the other end of the spectrum. One, what's right in soccer right now? And two, what's wrong in soccer right now?
Ooh, Paul, you're giving me some zingers, huh? I think what's right is there's a lot of good momentum on the men's and women's side. I think the men's side with MLS, you're seeing all these soccer-specific stadiums and great crowds and energy and support around their teams. You're seeing tremendous support around the national team, of course, the men's national team, but it's hard to do on a week-in, week-out basis.
A lot of competition.
Yeah, it's a lot, and with all the other sports. And
that's what I mean, a lot of competition.
Yeah, exactly. So I think MLS has turned a corner. I think for the women's team, I think the national team is hugely popular. I just had Abby Wambach Skype into my camp the other day, and it was like I was at a Justin Bieber concert, you know? The kids didn't know, it was a surprise, and when she comes up on the projector, they're like, ah! I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, the energy of 99 you're seeing in this current team. So that's great. I think the challenge for the women's team is how do you sustain it, again, on a week-in, week-out level, and they've started a third iteration of a league, and in their new league, they've now got the whole U.S. Soccer Federation behind it, which is huge. So that is going to be the next challenge. That's kind of the next frontier for them to break, which we weren't able to do. Our league didn't make it. But it's hard. I mean, we've seen from MLS, even with all the money and support they have behind it, it takes time.
Yeah, you mentioned the big factor is the money factor, and you're definitely an ambassador for soccer. And one additional question I have for you before I let you go, because I know you're going to be answering a lot of questions tonight. When you talk to girls, and I asked you this last year, single piece best of advice that you can give a young girl or a young boy that wants to follow in the footsteps of yourself, or on the men's side, you know, Joe Maxmore that came out of Mission Viejo. Your thoughts about that?
Well, actually, that's a great question, because it's why I actually am so happy kids and parents are going to see this movie, because the message is work your tail off, right? It's not a coincidence that we were successful year in and year out. I mean, we worked so hard, but there was so much fun. There was laughter. There was joy in being around each other. We were celebrating each other. It wasn't like, oh, Mia's getting all the attention. It was, yes, we're doing this together. And I think that's lost in sports today. You know, it's very serious and it's very intense and there's a lot of pressure, and it's like, God, relax, it's sports, you know? This is a gift you've been given. And I think that is the one thing that comes through loud and clear of, oh my gosh, how much fun we had.
Right, that's it.
In the biggest moment and biggest stage, when we could have just been like,
Yeah, what a remarkable time, and I'm sure the film is going to be very successful, and they're going to be talking about it on the radio shows and on ESPN, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
really
Go get your mom.
I'm going to go get my mom to watch it. And again, it's called The 99ers. Julie Foudy shot all the footage, and she also narrates the film as well, so make sure you catch it on ESPN. We'll be back with more. Joey Fawcett joins me next right here on Coach's Corner.